Hey, what's going on? Ed Fletcher here, and I just wanted to jump on and talk about Juneteenth, Truth Matters, and the history that we tell, and how important the history books are to the framing of how we view and contextualize America. On a somewhat related note, I released my video, a short film I did. Would love to let you in. It's a 6-minute film, mostly about the virus, and it's meant to help educate and encourage people to take the COVID-19 seriously. So if you get a chance to see that, please do check it out, give it a like, share it along. Committed to leaving it online for the weekend. I'm not sure if we're going to pull it and submit it to festivals later on, but wanted to put it out there so that you could check it out. Thanks again to my t-shirt sponsor, Fred Lamora, with this Truth Matters shirt, and I thought it was appropriate given today's topic. Now, for any of you who are just sort of joining this, I am not an expert in any way, shape, or form. I'm a guy who grew up in Orangevale, California, went to historically black college, Southern University, with basically little knowledge of black culture. I absorbed a small amount, but since the Justice for George protest, I've been trying to share more every day in hopes of allowing our culture to have these difficult conversations and for us to evolve. So I will admit that going to college, I did not know what Juneteenth was, and when that first came up, I didn't acknowledge that I didn't know. So I was as guilty and as complicit as other people, and eventually I thought it was just a Texas thing. But the story of Juneteenth is that 1863, the Emancipation Proclamation happens, but Juneteenth doesn't happen until the state of Texas is notified 2 years later that slavery was to be ended. So for all those people, they toiled away for much longer than they had to because of the conditions of the time. So 1865 is when the 13th Amendment is passed, which officially ended slavery across the Union. So these are important dates, and Juneteenth celebrates, Darla, come on, when this news came to Texas. It was a very exciting time for them, and they wanted to celebrate. But at that time, excuse me, there was no places for black people to celebrate. But so to think about a people going from a enslaved state to suddenly being free and wanting to mark a day that celebrates that, and to look back at the culture of what was happening then and look forward to the future, was a pretty monumentous occasion. It's never become, come on, Darla, broadly celebrated in America, and mostly in America we kind of halfway celebrate Martin Luther King, but we don't really have a holiday or remembrance or a day that really talks about slavery, the history of slavery, and why that's important. Largely, society dominated by white culture has tried to ignore and not take a serious look at those atrocities, the institution of slavery, and the history of trying to hold black people back. And that sort of brings us to the other date, which is important, the Tulsa massacres. And tomorrow you'll be hearing probably about the Trump rally in Tulsa, but they originally planned this rally for today in Tulsa, which people took as a huge FU to the black community and feared that it could incite some very bad things happening in Tulsa. If you're not familiar with the Tulsa massacre, please do look it up. But 1921, there's a wealthy area of Tulsa, and there is a rumor starts that a black man touched a white girl, and it expands into a alleged rape or rape allegation lie. And white vigilantes use it as an excuse to burn down the black section of town and kill 300 people and displace all of those businesses. It's just one story in many stories, many examples of white people, the white supremacy trying to maintain their dominance during this time. And I would wager that very few of us learned this information in a history class, and I acknowledge that teaching history from Columbus to the present is difficult, but it says a lot about our culture, what portions of our history we choose to highlight. And going forward, I hope that in addition to these other fronts that we're talking about advancing in this period of time, that examination of our history and our lessons and what we teach our children will be important. Hey, the sooner that we acknowledge these things and deal with them, the sooner we will come close to living the ideals of this country, where everybody is free to live the American dream and to carry themselves from poverty to wealth by playing by the rules. Okay, that's about all I wanted to say today. Please do share some information about Juneteenth with your friends. Talk about the history of slavery. Use it as an opportunity to have a conversation with people that might not normally be having this conversation. And use Trump's rally as an opportunity to talk about the Tulsa massacre and the issues that we see there. I don't know if they would have planned this event so close to the anniversary of the Tulsa massacre or in Tulsa at this time, had they had any black people on staff, but it also speaks about the need for diversity and inclusion in our decision making. All right, so I'm going to sign off here. Again, this is Ed Fletcher doing some independent journalism and talking about race and stuff in hopes that we can all bring our collective people together. Thanks for watching. Truth Matters. Ed Fletcher signing out.